Thou shalt give to receive. What a great quote. And why do we always wait for it to be the giving season, such as Christmas, such as birthdays, anniversaries, to give? Why don't we just make it a part of our life? Because there's a great feeling when you give. As you know, when you give someone a gift and you see the joy that comes across their face, then that makes you feel real good. But it's not just about you, but it's about passing it on. Passion means pass I on. So you have a gift in life to share with the world, then I believe it's your responsibility to give it to the world, to leave it in the world. Always do something, create something, build something that's going to outlive your life. Now that might be your giving to your children. That might be giving to your business, giving to your charity, giving to your church, giving to your loved ones. Whatever that might be, it's really important to pass I on. Pass it forward, as they say. But again, we tend to only do that when we have things to give, and we only tend to do that when it's expected to give. A gift given for no reason is far more powerful than a gift given than when it is expected. In Christmas, everyone expects to get a gift. An anniversary, your partner expects to get a gift. On a birthday, your friends expect to get a gift. But why not just give a gift because they were in your mind? I was always taught that to give your loved one, give your partner a rose once a month on any particular day across 12 months adds up to 12 individual roses when they don't expect it, just for the sake of giving it, is far more powerful for the relationship than giving 12 a dozen expected roses on Valentine's Day. So yes, certainly give the gift at Christmas and Valentine's Day, birthdays, anniversaries, whatever it might be. But also make sure that's not the only time that you give, because then you're giving because it's expected. It's actually a condition. Where really true love is where it's unconditional, whether that be love for your friends or love for your family or love for your partners, whatever it might be. Because true love is giving for no particular reason, and to give without any expectation of return. I was always taught that your true character is determined by how you treat people that have nothing to offer you. Many times in life we tend to give people our attention or compliments or time or what it might be. We give it because we expect to get something back, whether it be that in a financial, materialistic, a spiritual, a confidence, a self-esteem way. We tend to do that. A lot of people will treat the CEO like they're the CEO or the managing director of the company, or some form of authority who has a title, whether it be in a martial art or a coach or superstar or a movie star or some form of star, a political star, whatever it might be, and we get a little bit, fan-dazzled, and we want to give our time, we want an autograph, we want a photo. But as we're doing that, we're ignoring maybe the cleaner or the porter or the receptionist, because to them we feel, or people think, that their position is not important. But every person is important. How someone treats the cleaner says far more about them than how they treat the CEO of a company. And the great CEOs of companies and great people treat the cleaners and the receptionists and the general staff or equally as human beings, as spiritual beings on this earth. So why do we give? Well, you give because you can. And you give even when you cannot give because you may not have enough. There's a great saying in the Bible about the young poor person who gave pennies to the church, and then someone else is giving more, and the disciple says, well, look, she only gave pennies, but Jesus says, hey, she gave far more than everybody else because she gave everything that she has, not a portion of what she has. And that says a lot. It's not about how much you give, it's the meaning of the giving that's most important. And a lot of time people will say, look, I'll give money to charity when I have a lot of money. Well, I'm not quite sure. You may say, hey, if you only own $100 and you give 10% of your total worth $10, when you got $100, then hey, it doesn't count that much. But if you got $100,000, then you got to write a check for $10,000, which is 10%. That might be a bit harder to write. So maybe a good tool or good thing to do is to start practicing when the numbers are small, to prepare you as you grow through your life and become more and more successful, where you're going to give when the numbers are big. And it doesn't have to be financial, it can be time, it can be information, it can be knowledge, it can be skill, it can be just attention. The greatest gift that you can give someone is your undivided attention, to treat them as if they're special and important and worthwhile. And yes, the gifts, the physical materialistic gifts are nice, but what is really important is that connection, that eye contact, that attention that you give someone and listen to them about their story or what's going on in their life or what problems they have or what celebrations they want to share with you. And you get involved, more involved into them than they are into themselves. So here's a great philosophy that Rory came up with a long time ago. It's a great philosophy, and it's called always leave a profit. Always leave a profit. And that basically means always leave everyone you meet, every place you are, everything that you have in a better state than when you found it. So if you come across someone, always make sure you leave them in a better emotional state than when you first met them. That means you made them laugh, you made them happy, you gave them a compliment, you made them feel significant, you gave them your time, you gave them their attention, and they walk away and they go, wow, that I feel so much better when I'm in that person's presence. Or it might be something, give them something physical, or help them with a task, or help them with a chore, or help them with a problem, or help them with whatever it might be. Always offer your attention, your time, your services, your skills to help other people, and that will pass it forward, because ideally if you invest in them, they're more likely to go home and invest in their family, in their children, in their friends, or most importantly, strangers. How do you treat strangers? Do you treat everyone the same, whether they're your boss or your person that you admire or your kids? Do you treat everyone the same? And also leave every place that you come across in a better state than when you found it. So when Rory and I travel a lot and we're in hotel rooms, and obviously most people when they leave a hotel room, they leave it in a mess, and the cleaning person has to come in and go, oh my gosh, you can imagine what their job is like. They have to open the door when they go in to clean, and they hold their breath and say, okay, what bomb has hit this? And it's probably a mess a lot of the time. So what we do is we try to give them a little surprise when they open the door, and we're not there when it's happening because we've already left and checked out. So we'll strip the bed and we'll wipe everything down, and we'll put all the sheets and the towels on in a pile for them. We'll make sure there's no litter anywhere. We'll put it in the rubbish bin and tie it all up and all sorts of stuff. So when they come in, when they're expecting this mess of a room, you see them go, wow. Now we're not there to get the joy of seeing them, go, oh, how awesome is that? However, but it's just, you do it because that's who you are, not because you want anything, not because you want to satisfaction or you want to brag about it. It's just because that's who you are. When you go into a public toilet, do you leave it in a better state when you walked in? If you walk in and there's those hand towels on the paper towels on the ground and a bit of a mess, do you pick them all up and throw them in the bin? Do you walk over rubbish? Do you leave someone's home in a better state than when you looked after it? If I borrow someone's car, which occasionally happens, when I return the car, I always make sure I give it a complete clean. I fill the petrol tank up and I leave a note. I remember I was in Brisbane once. I stayed at the Hilton Hotel, and all the rental cars in the rental car businesses were all booked out because there's a big function going on, or a big event going on in Brisbane. And I was telling, and I wanted to go and see my brother. I didn't have a car, and the concierge, the young gentleman, says, hey, you can borrow my car, which is so amazing. He just said, hey, I'll show you the keys. And he didn't know me, he knew I stayed there, and he just was quite happy just to offer me his car. And I said, man, isn't that just so kind and generous and giving? He didn't have to do that. But it's interesting, when I took his car, by the time I got back, I got a proper professional clean. I put a dozen beers with a note in it, with a $100 in cash in an envelope with a little card saying thank you so much. So clean, filled up the tank, a dozen beers, a card, and $100. Now, That was probably more than what I would have had to have paid if I got the car. However, he didn't have to do that. He did it because that's who he is, and that says so much more about him. So what are you telling the world? The other thing that giving, whether it be financials or time or money, whatever it might be, is it also tells yourself, your inner compass, that you acknowledge there's an abundance in the world. A lot of time when you feel that things are scarce, you may have money might be scarce for you, you tend to hold on to it and not to pass it on. So that tells yourself that things are scarce. But really in the world there is a limitless amount of opportunity, there's a limitless amount of money, there's a limitless amount of things in the world that you can acquire by giving value to the marketplace who rewards you. So if you're happy to let water flow through your hands, there will always be more water. But don't be a dam where you try to hold on to it. Let it flow, pass it on. So it's what's amazing when you start giving to charity or causes or financial or money or whatever it might be or things, then you'll be surprised how much more starts to come to you. Give and you shall receive. And it's quite amazing, but you have to have faith to be able to do that, to let that go, because at the end of your life, it's not what you get in your life, it's what you leave in your life that's most important. It's not what you get from the world, it's what you leave in the world that's most important. As the great Steve Jobs, who started the company Apple, and he ended up being a billionaire, he says what you make is far more important than how much you make. And I listened to, for example, Michael Jackson CDs and Elvis Presley CDs, and they've created music that's outlived their life, and we still get the joy of listening to them today. I'm a martial artist, and I love doing karate, and I like doing taekwondo, and General Choi, who created taekwondo, it's outlived him. It's now a martial art, and he passed away a long time ago, but we still practice taekwondo, and I'm very appreciative that he created this martial art that has outlived his life, that people like me have the responsibility to pass that on to my students and pass it on to the next generation. Dr. Jigoro Kano, who started judo, who's passed away, and everything started somewhere and has to be passed on. It's our responsibility to pass that on as teachers, as coaches, as instructors, and that's from a martial art point of view. If you're a parent, it's important that you pass on the values that you learnt from your parents. I had magnificent parents who had very black and white values, and we didn't have a lot of money as I was growing up, but they taught me something far more valuable than money. That was, your values and your principles and your virtues that build your character. And a part of that is not just about taking, keeping, but it's about giving and sharing. If you do that, the streams of life will flood opportunities and money and things to you. I have acquired over my travels, being in the corporate world, heaps of suits and ties and watches and all sorts of stuff. And when I feel that every 6 months, Ro and I, we do a cleanse and we pass our clothes on and we'll give them to certain charities and certain causes. Now, some of those things are quite valuable. However, they have no more value to me because I don't use them anymore. So yes, a suit may have cost $1,000, but there's no value to me anymore, but it will be of value to someone else. Someone else will buy that suit or whatever it might be from the charity shop, and they'll go, oh my gosh, you believe what I got? It's a Versace suit, it's a Louis Vuitton, whatever. And they go, oh my gosh, and that's going to bring joy to someone else who will pass that joy and that giving on to their world. So how do you change the world? Well, you have to change you. And if you become a giving person, that's going to set an example for other people to pass on and be giving. Because if we all do that, and we all help each other, and we all give, not with the expectation or the condition of a return, not conditional giving, and without they're expected, but giving because that's who you are, and when people least expect it, and sometimes when they most need it, and that won't always fall on a specific date, such as a birthday or Christmas or an anniversary or whatever it might be. So give because that is who you are. See you in the next Kmax.